The fates had never been wrong. Every hero, every monster, every god written in their threads. Then the sky shattered. A child fell from beyond the stars. And for the first time in eternity, the fates saw nothing. Zeus hurled lightning. It bent around him. Ares swung his blade. It turned to dust. Apollo looked into the future and wept. Across Greece, oracles screamed one word: unbound. No prophecy could hold him. No chain could bind him. No god could stop him. A farmer found him in the crater, raised him in secret, taught him to hide, taught him mercy. But how do you teach mercy to someone even? The gods fear? This is not a myth. This is not a legend. This is the story of the child who made Olympus tremble. His name is Superman. The child did not cry when he fell from the sky. Fire ripped through the clouds above ancient Greece, a screaming star tearing open the heavens themselves. The sound came first, a roar deeper than thunder, shaking olive trees and cracking stone walls across the valley of Thessaly. Farmers dropped their tools and fell to their knees. Shepherds abandoned their flocks, running toward their families. Even the sea, visible from the distant hills, seemed to pull back from the shore, as if the earth itself had taken a frightened breath. The object struck the ground 3 miles from a village called Methone, a place so small it appeared on no maps and mattered to no kings. The impact shattered hillsides and created a crater wide enough to swallow a temple. Dust rose like a brown curtain, blocking the sun for nearly an hour. When it finally settled, the villagers approached with spears and prayers. They expected a fallen god, perhaps a punishment from Zeus, perhaps a gift from Athena. They found a boy. He stood at the center of the glassed earth, naked and untouched, his skin unmarked by fire or impact. He looked no older than 3 summers, with dark hair and eyes that reflected light strangely, as if holding the memory of a different sun. Around him, the ground had melted into black glass, yet his small feet left no burns. An elder named Theron stepped forward first. He was 60 years old, a former soldier who had fought against Spartans and survived wounds that should have killed him twice. Fear did not come easily to Theron, but looking at this child standing impossibly alive in a crater of destruction, he felt something cold move through his chest. He raised his spear anyway. The boy looked at him without fear, without anger, only confusion. A younger villager, panicked by silence, hurled his own spear at the child. The weapon flew true, aimed directly at the small chest. It shattered like dry pottery against stone. No blood, no wound. The boy did not even flinch. Theron lowered his weapon slowly. Around him, villagers screamed names of gods, falling into worship or fleeing into the hills. Some called the child a demon. Others proclaimed him a new Olympian sent to test them. Theron saw something different. He saw a child who was alone, against the protests of priests and the warnings of oracles. Theron took the boy into his home. He had lost his own son to fever 3 winters past, and his wife had died giving birth to a daughter who followed her mother within days. The old soldier lived alone with ghosts and silence. Perhaps that made him brave. Perhaps it made him foolish. He named the child Kal, after the sound the boy seemed to make when trying to speak his own name. The full word sounded like Kal-El, though it meant nothing in any Greek tongue. Theron decided it sounded strong enough. For the first 5 years, Kal seemed almost normal. He learned to speak Greek quickly, faster than any child Theron had seen. He helped with farming, carried water, played with village children who slowly forgot to fear him. The crater outside town grew over with grass, becoming just another scar on the land. But as Kal grew, the differences became impossible to hide. At 7, he lifted a fallen ox that had pinned a farmer beneath its weight. The animal weighed more than 10 men could carry. Kal raised it with one hand while helping the man stand with the other. At 9, he outran horses sent by a visiting lord who wanted to test the rumors. The lord left angry, spreading stories that would grow into legends. At 11, a pack of wolves descended on the village during a harsh winter. They found Kal standing between them and the sheep pens. The wolves attacked, their teeth shattered against his skin like brittle twigs. They fled howling into the frozen night. leaving Kal standing confused, wondering why the animals had tried to hurt themselves against him. By 12, Theron knew the truth he had always suspected. This was not a gift from Olympus. This was not a child of any god he knew. Kal came from somewhere else entirely, somewhere beyond the sky itself. And the powers growing within him were nothing the world had ever contained. The old soldier sat with Kal one evening, watching the sun sink behind distant mountains. "You are not like us," Theron said quietly. Kal nodded, eyes fixed on the horizon. "I know. Does that frighten you?" The boy considered the question with a seriousness beyond his years. "No, but it frightens everyone else. I hear their hearts beating faster when I am near. I hear their whispers when they think I cannot." Theron felt a chill, realizing the boy's abilities extended even to hearing. "And what do they whisper?" "They wonder when I will become a monster." Kal turned to face his adoptive father, eyes carrying a weight no child should know. "Will I?" Theron placed a weathered hand on the boy's shoulder, feeling the impossible density of muscle beneath ordinary skin. "That depends on choices, not power. Monsters are not born. They are made by cruelty, by hatred, by abandoning the people who need them." "Then I will never be a monster," Kal said simply. "It is not that easy. The world will test you. Power will tempt you. One day, you will be angry enough to destroy everything around you, and nothing will be able to stop you. Then I will stop myself." Theron smiled, though sadness lived in it. "Hold on to that, boy. Hold onto it when gods themselves try to take it from you." Kal did not understand the warning then. He would understand it soon enough. By 15, Kal-El had become legend. Stories spread from Thessaly to Athens, from Sparta to the islands, growing wilder with each telling. A youth who could stop floods with his bare hands. A protector who pulled fishermen from storms without drowning himself. A healer who carried the sick across mountains to find medicines, never tiring, never stopping. The priests of Delphi fell silent when asked about him. Their oracles saw nothing when they looked toward his future. The fates, those ancient weavers of destiny, had no threads connecting to his existence. He was a blank space in prophecy, a void where prediction could not reach. This terrified the temples. It terrified Olympus more. Athena felt the disturbance first. She was goddess of wisdom and strategy. Her mind connected to the patterns of the world like threads to a loom. Every hero, every monster, every mortal life created ripples she could read and predict. But when she turned her attention toward Thessaly, she found only darkness. Not evil, not chaos, simply absence. A place where her sight could not reach. She reported this to the other gods with characteristic calm, though unease lived beneath her words. Ares laughed when he heard. The god of war feared nothing, respected nothing except strength, and saw every unknown as merely another challenge to crush. "Another mortal playing hero," he scoffed. "I will break him when he becomes annoying." Apollo said nothing, but his light dimmed slightly, as if the sun itself had grown uncertain. Hera watched with cold calculation, already seeing threats to the order she had helped maintain for millennia. And Zeus, king of Olympus, felt something he had not experienced since the Titan Wars. He felt challenged, not through rebellion or prayer or any mortal mechanism he understood. This challenge came from existence itself. Something on earth breathed and moved and acted without acknowledging his authority, not defying it, simply ignoring it, as if divine rule were irrelevant. That indifference burned hotter than any rebellion could. When a war band from Sparta marched toward Thessaly to test the rumors, Zeus did not stop them. He watched. The Spartans came armored and arrogant, 50 soldiers trained from childhood to kill without hesitation. Their captain, a scarred veteran named Dion, had orders to either recruit the mysterious youth or eliminate him as a threat to proper order. They found Kal-El waiting outside Meth 1, standing alone on a dusty road. He had grown tall, broad-shouldered, with features that seemed carved from bronze and eyes that held depths no mortal should possess. He wore simple farmer's clothing, no armor, no weapons. Behind him, villagers watched from doorways, including old Theron, now bent with age but still proud. "Kneel to the gods of war," Captain Dion commanded, "or die standing." Kal-El remained still. "I kneel to no one, but I have no quarrel with you. Take your men and go home." Dion saw insult in the calm response. He ordered the attack. 50 spears flew at once, a deadly rain that had killed countless enemies. Every spear shattered against Kal-El's body, breaking into splinters that fell harmlessly around his feet. The Spartans charged with swords. Kal-El moved. To mortal eyes, he simply vanished and reappeared. Men found their weapons torn away, their shields crumpled, their bodies thrown aside without lethal force. Kal-El struck with precision that should have been impossible, disabling without killing, breaking weapons without breaking bones. In less time than it took to draw breath, 50 Spartans lay scattered across the road, alive but defeated, staring at a youth who had not even increased his breathing. Captain Dion struggled to his feet, reaching for a dagger. Kal-El caught his wrist gently, holding it with irresistible strength. "Go home," Kal-El repeated. "Tell your kings that Thessaly is protected. Tell them that I have no interest in war or conquest. But if soldiers come here again to threaten innocent people, I will not be as gentle." He released the captain, stepping back. Dion fled with his men, and the story spread faster than horses could carry it. A warrior who could not be harmed. A protector who refused to kill. Something entirely new. On Olympus, Zeus gripped his throne until marble cracked beneath divine fingers. "This thing is not a hero," he growled. "It is an error in creation." The gods prepared for war. They did not begin with armies or monsters. They began with tests. Apollo sent light, so bright it should have blinded any mortal who looked upon it. Kal-El stared into the divine radiance without flinching, his eyes absorbing the light rather than being damaged by it. Poseidon sent waves against coastal villages Kal-El protected. The youth flew into the ocean itself, holding back water with his body, pushing against currents that should have crushed mountains. Flew. The mortals saw it clearly for the first time. Kal-El did not jump or climb or ride winds. He simply rose into the air and moved through it like a bird, but faster, smoother, without effort. Theron watched his adopted son soar above the clouds, and for the first time, tears fell from the old soldier's eyes. Not from fear, from awe. "You were never meant for this small life," he whispered. Ares descended next, unable to resist the challenge any longer. The god of war arrived in full divine armor, blazing with bloodlust, landing before Kal-El with enough force to crater the earth. Mortals fled. Temples shook. The very air seemed to thicken with violence. "I am Ares," the god announced, voice thundering across the land. "I have killed titans. I have drowned nations in blood. Every war ever fought carries my blessing or my curse." Kal-El stood calmly. "I know who you are." "Then you know I cannot be defeated." "I do not wish to fight you." Ares laughed, a sound like clashing swords. "You do not have a choice." He attacked. The first blow should have shattered continents. Ares struck with divine fury accumulated over millennia. Power meant to crush anything mortal or immortal. The impact sent shockwaves across Greece, toppling distant buildings and splitting the ground for miles. Kal-El did not move. The god's fist stopped against an open palm, caught like a child punch, held by fingers that did not tremble. For a moment, Ares stared at his trapped hand, unable to process what was happening. Then rage consumed him. He attacked wildly, abandoning strategy for pure destruction. Blows fell like avalanches. Divine weapons materialized and shattered. The landscape transformed into a wasteland of craters and fire. Kal-El blocked every strike. He did not attack back. "Fight me," Ares screamed. "No, you could end this. Strike me. Show your power. If I become like you," Kal-El said quietly, still holding back another killing blow, "I lose everything that matters." That mercy infuriated Ares more than any defeat. He summoned every ounce of divine strength, preparing a strike meant to end worlds. Kal-El caught it, lifted the god, and set him down gently, stepping back. "Go home," Kal-El said. "There is no honor in this fight, only destruction." Ares vanished in a flash of humiliated fury, returning to Olympus, with wounds no weapon had caused. Pride wounds, the kind that never heal. On the mountain of gods, silence fell like a shroud. Zeus understood now. This was not a mortal playing hero. This was not a new god emerging from chaos. This was something that existed entirely outside their system, something that could not be controlled, intimidated, or destroyed. What is he? Hera demanded. Athena answered slowly, having spent days searching for understanding. He is not from our world. He fell from somewhere beyond the stars, beyond even the realms we know. His power comes from something we do not have, something we cannot give or take away. Then what do we do? Apollo asked. Zeus rose from his throne, eyes burning with ancient lightning. If we cannot destroy him, the king of gods said, we destroy what he loves. The campaign began subtly. Plagues appeared in villages under Kal-El's protection. Not natural diseases, but divine afflictions that killed slowly and painfully. When he rushed to save one town, another burned. When he stopped a flood, a drought struck elsewhere. The gods created impossible choices. Save the many or save the few. Protect the city or protect the family. Kal-El ran himself ragged, trying to be everywhere, moving faster than thought, yet always arriving somewhere too late. He heard dying prayers calling his name, felt hope fading in places he could not reach. For the first time, doubt crept into his heart. Theron found him one night, sitting alone on a hillside, staring at distant fires he had failed to prevent in time. You cannot save everyone, the old man said, settling beside his son with joints that ached from age. Then what am I for? You are for what you can do, not what you cannot. Kal-El shook his head. They are dying because of me. The gods send these disasters because I exist. If I disappeared, perhaps they would stop. Theron gripped his arm with surprising strength. Listen to me, boy. I have seen tyrants and kings and men who called themselves gods. None of them saved strangers without asking for worship. None of them stood between monsters and children without demanding something in return. The gods do demand something. They demand fear. Yes. And you offer something else, something they cannot control. Hope. Theron smiled, weathered face creasing with lines earned through decades of survival. Hope is just a word. What you offer is choice. The choice to believe that power does not require cruelty. The choice to imagine that strength can serve instead of rule. And if that choice destroys everything I love? The old soldier was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice carried the weight of a man who had buried his entire family and kept living anyway. Then you make sure it was worth it. The gods did not grant them time to prepare. 3 nights later, Olympus descended directly. Zeus himself led the assault, riding lightning across the sky, followed by a host of divine beings and creatures pulled from the depths of Tartarus. Giants rose from the earth, monsters sealed since the Titan Wars crawled free, and the sky itself seemed to catch fire. Meth 1 burned first. Kal-El flew faster than he ever had, reaching the village. As the first giant's foot crushed the temple at its center, he caught the second foot before it could land on homes, holding back a creature taller than mountains, muscles straining against weight that would have crushed anything else in existence. Run, he screamed to the villagers below. They ran, all except Theron. The old soldier stood in the ruins of his home, sword drawn, facing down divine chaos with nothing but iron and courage. When a minor god descended to crush him, Theron did not flinch. Tell your masters, he shouted, that Kal-El was raised by a man who never kneeled. The blow meant for Theron never landed. Kal-El intercepted it, catching the god's weapon with one hand while still holding back the giant with the other. For a moment, he held the entire weight of Olympus's assault alone, body screaming with effort, eyes burning with light drawn from some distant sun. Then he saw Theron collapse, not from an attack, from age, from a heart that had finally given out after years of pushing past its limits. The old soldier fell as heroes fall, sword still in hand, defiance still on his face. Kal-El screamed. The sound shattered the attacking god, sent the giant stumbling backward, and cracked the sky itself. For one terrible moment, his eyes glowed with killing heat, and every immortal present felt something they had never felt from him before. Rage. Pure, boundless rage. The world waited for him to unleash it. He did not. With effort that cost him more than any physical struggle, Kal-El pulled the fire back into himself. He landed beside Theron's body, cradling the old man who had given him everything. "I will not become what they want," he whispered. "I will not let your sacrifice make me a monster." Zeus watched from above, and for the first time, true unease flickered through the king of gods. This being had just experienced the worst pain imaginable, and he had chosen mercy anyway. The war continued, but its character changed. Kal-El no longer simply defended. He attacked, systematically dismantling every monster and curse the god sent, freeing villages from divine plagues, breaking the chains of divine punishment that had bound Greece for millennia. He did not kill gods. He did something worse. He ignored them. When Zeus hurled lightning, Kal-El walked through it. When Poseidon raised seas, Kal-El pushed them back. When Hades opened the underworld, Kal-El descended into death itself and returned with souls the gods had no right to claim. The people stopped praying for divine mercy. They started believing they could survive without it. That faith struck harder than any weapon. Athena descended one final time, not to fight, but to warn. "You are unraveling the order of the world," she said, meeting him on a battlefield littered with broken monsters. "Without gods, there is only chaos." "Without fear," Kal-El replied, "there is freedom. They are the same thing." "No, chaos is the absence of choice. Fear is choice taken away. What I offer is something else, the chance to choose for themselves." Athena was silent for a long moment. Of all the gods, she had come closest to respecting this impossible being. Part of her, the part that was wisdom rather than just divine tradition, recognized truth in his words. "Zeus will never stop," she finally said. "He will destroy Greece itself before admitting defeat. Then I will stop him." Athena almost smiled. "You still do not understand. If you destroy Zeus, you become him. Another tyrant for mortals to fear. The cycle continues. I will not destroy him." "Then how?" Kal-El looked up at the sky, at the darkening clouds where Olympus gathered its final assault. "I will give them a choice." The final confrontation came at dawn. Zeus descended with every remaining god, every Titan ally, every weapon forged in divine fire. The sky itself seemed to fold around Olympus as it dropped toward Greece, a mountain of divine power meant to crush mortal rebellion forever. Kal-El rose to meet it alone. He did not carry weapons. He did not wear armor. He simply flew upward toward the falling realm of gods, eyes calm despite the apocalypse descending on him. Lightning struck him first, enough power to incinerate nations. He absorbed it. Divine fire followed, flames hot enough to melt the foundations of existence. He passed through them. Zeus himself hurled the final weapon, a bolt tied to the fates themselves, meant to erase Kal-El from reality, from past, present, and future. It struck him directly. For one eternal moment, existence itself flickered. Then Kal-El emerged, still standing, still rising, still unbroken. The threads of fate burned away around him, unable to bind something that existed outside their weave. He reached Olympus, not attacking, not destroying, simply stopping its descent. He held the realm of gods on his shoulders, carrying the weight of divine arrogance and immortal fear, preventing it from crushing the world below. "You cannot win," Zeus roared, throwing more power, watching it fail. "You cannot rule in our place." "I do not want to rule," Kal-El said, voice carrying across realms. "I want you to choose." "Choose what?" "To be better, or to be forgotten." He set Olympus down gently, at the peaks where it had always rested. But something had changed. The divine connection between gods and mortals, the chains of fate and prophecy that had bound humanity since creation, had been severed. Not destroyed, severed. The gods still existed. They still held power. But that power no longer came from human fear. It would have to be earned. Zeus stood before Kal-El, lightning crackling uselessly in his hands, facing the truth that his reign had ended without conquest. "What happens now?" the king of gods asked. "Now you watch," Kal-El said. "Watch what humans become when they are not afraid. Watch what happens when power serves instead of rules. Watch and learn, and perhaps one day earn the worship you once demanded." He turned his back on Olympus and descended to the world below. Behind him, gods stood in confused silence, realizing they had not been defeated. They had been retired. The years that followed changed everything. Greece rebuilt without divine interference. Kings ruled knowing no god would save or condemn them. Temples became meeting halls. Altars became spaces for community rather than sacrifice. People learned to solve their own problems, help their own neighbors, create their own justice. It was messy. It was imperfect. Sometimes it was brutal, but it was theirs. Kal-El remained, though he never ruled. He stopped calling himself a protector, because protection implied superiority. Instead, he simply helped. When earthquakes struck, he cleared rubble. When plagues came, he carried the sick to healers. When tyrants rose, he stood with those who opposed them, not fighting their battles, but making sure the fight was fair. Children grew up without fearing the sky. They told stories of the stranger who fell from beyond the stars, who could have been a god but chose to be a neighbor. They did not worship him. They trusted him. That meant more than any temple. Decades passed. Kal-El aged slowly, watching generations rise and fall, attending funerals for friends and their children and their grandchildren. He carried Theron's sword still, not as a weapon, but as a reminder of the man who had taught him that power without compassion was just another form of tyranny. Olympus faded into memory. Gods became stories told by firelight, lessons about pride and power, cautionary tales rather than objects of fear. Some mortals still prayed, and sometimes quietly. Those prayers were answered. But it was different now, a conversation rather than a command. On the last night of his long vigil, Kal-El stood on the hillside outside what had once been Meth-1, watching stars that had witnessed his fall so many centuries ago. A young girl approached, one of the village children who had grown up with stories of him. "Are you really from beyond the sky?" she asked. "Yes." "Will you ever go back?" Kal-El considered the question, looking up at constellations that held no home for him. "No," he said finally. "This is where I am needed. But you could go anywhere, do anything. Why stay here?" He smiled, thinking of an old soldier who had asked him similar questions long ago. Because strength without purpose is just destruction. And purpose, real purpose, is not about what you can do. It is about what you choose to do. The girl thought about this with the seriousness of childhood. "I choose to help people too," she said. "Then you are already stronger than gods." She laughed, not understanding, and ran back to the village. Kal-El watched her go, then looked up at the sky one final time. Somewhere beyond those stars, worlds might still tremble at divine command. Powers might still clash and tyrants might still demand worship. The universe was vast and ancient and full of beings who would never understand what he had learned on this small world. But here, in this place that had given him everything, mortals had discovered a truth older than gods themselves. Fear was easy, hope was hard, and choosing hope every day against every temptation, despite every loss, was what made beings truly powerful. Not strength, not speed, not invulnerability, choice. The sun rose over Greece, golden light spilling across hills and valleys that had once trembled at thunder. Now they only witnessed dawn, and somewhere in that light, a man who had fallen from the stars began another day of choosing to be more than his power. Not a god, not a hero, just someone who refused to stop hoping. And in the end, that was enough.